What happens when America's friendliest morning anchor finally loses his patience with a royal guest who refuses to play along? On the Today Show, millions of viewers tuned in expecting a lighthearted interview with Prince Harry. Instead, they witnessed one of the most explosive confrontations in live television history. What began with smiles and polite banter quickly unraveled into a tense battle of words. By the end, the unthinkable happened. Harry was told to leave the set. The studio buzzed with its usual morning energy. Lights glowed across the iconic set. Crew members hustled in headsets, mugs of coffee steamed on the table. At the center sat Al Roker, veteran anchor, warm smile, steady charm, flanked by his co-hosts. Everything seemed like a typical morning in New York. Except today's guest wasn't a Hollywood actor or best-selling author. It was Prince Harry. Harry entered in a tailored navy suit, tieless, his confidence worn like armor. The audience applauded politely as he shook Al's hand and settled into the guest chair. For a moment it felt ordinary, a royal on American morning television ready to chat about new projects, family life, maybe a light anecdote or two. "Good morning, Prince Harry," Al said brightly. "Great to have you with us. How are you feeling today?" Harry smiled briefly, though it never reached his eyes. "I feel fine. It's not every day I do one of these shows, though I imagine you'll try to make it into a circus." The audience chuckled uneasily. Al brushed it off with his trademark warmth. "Well, we'll try to keep the circus animals outside," he quipped. "Let's start simple. You've been busy with new ventures and charitable work. What's driving you right now?" Harry leaned back, voice edged with defiance. "What drives me is doing things on my terms. Not the monarchies, not the tabloids, and certainly not the media's." The room stiffened. It wasn't outright hostile, but there was steel beneath the words. Al nodded, unshaken. "Fair enough. Speaking of doing things your way, you and Meghan have taken bold steps in redefining royal life."
How has that transition been?
"I wouldn't call it redefining," Harry replied coolly. "I'd call it surviving. People who talk about transition don't understand what it means to escape a gilded cage." The audience shifted uncomfortably. Al pressed on. "Escaping a gilded cage, that's a powerful image. But what does day-to-day life look like now for you and Meghan? Parenting, work, family time?" Harry's reply was sharp. "Parenting is private. Unlike some, I don't parade my kids for the cameras. So forgive me if I don't give you the sound bite you're fishing for." Gasps rippled through the audience. Al's co-host shifted in his seat. Still, Al smiled, calm as ever. "Of course. No one's asking for a sound bite. Just giving you space to share what you'd like. Family life is family life." "End of story," Harry shot back. "If people can't grasp that, maybe they should look at their own families instead of obsessing over mine." The tension tightened. Al tried to pivot. "Your foundation's work in mental health awareness has drawn a lot of praise. You've been a real voice for change there." "Yes." Harry leaned forward, voice firm but tinged with arrogance. "Because unlike most, I've lived it. And frankly, I'm tired of people questioning my sincerity, like I'd make it up for attention." No one had accused him of that, but the defensiveness hung heavy in the air. Al kept steady. "No one's questioning sincerity here, but it does raise a question. How do you balance privacy while speaking so publicly about personal struggles?" Harry smirked. "Balance? That's rich coming from the media. Privacy doesn't exist when people like you keep demanding access. You can't ask about balance when you're part of the imbalance." The audience murmured louder this time. Al chuckled, mug in hand. "You're keeping me on my toes this morning. I'll need more coffee to keep up." Harry didn't smile. Maybe drink less coffee and ask better questions. The room gasped. Al's patience, legendary as it was, seemed to stretch thin. But still, he pressed on. As the commercial break hit, the studio buzzed with whispers. Something was unraveling. This wasn't going to be another royal interview. It was about to become a showdown. When they returned, Al's smile was still there, polished and practiced, but the tension sat between them like a live wire. Harry leaned back, arms crossed, more like a defendant in a courtroom than a guest on morning TV. Al tried again. "You've spoken about stepping away from the royal family. What's been the greatest challenge in carving your independent path?" "The greatest challenge?" Harry tilted his head, smirk tugging at his lips. "Dealing with questions like that. People act like leaving was heroic or catastrophic. It was neither. It was me deciding I was done being a mascot for an outdated institution. Gasps again. Al held his ground. Still, people see you tied to the monarchy whether you like it or not. Do you feel any responsibility to that role? Harry's laugh was dry. Responsibility? I've spent my life being told to wave, smile, cut ribbons while others lived real lives. I owe nothing to the crown. If anything, it owes me. The audience shifted uneasily. Would you say that chapter is closed then? No chance of returning in any capacity? Al asked. Not unless I hit my head and forget everything I've learned, Harry snapped. Why would I go back to a family business that feeds me to the wolves, then pretends to protect me? That chapter isn't closed, Al, it's burned. Gasps turned into murmurs. The atmosphere was cracking. When Al asked gently about Harry's children, the prince's expression darkened. Why should I answer that? My kids don't exist for your audience's entertainment. Al raised his hands in peace. No details, of course. Just many parents at home admire how you balance work and family. It's a chance to share something meaningful. Harry scoffed. Balance? That's another buzzword. My family isn't your morning show filler. Al's patience frayed. But you've shared parts of family life before in documentaries, so naturally. Harry cut him off, voice sharp. Some might say, critics argue, sources claim, that's lazy journalism wrapped in gossip. The air grew electric. Even Al's face flickered with irritation. He drew a breath, let out a small laugh, and carried on. Our audience is looking for authenticity. When you share some things but refuse others, questions naturally follow. Harry's eyes flashed. Authenticity means I decide what to share. You don't set the terms, Al, not anymore. The room was heavy, every word a strike. Cameras zoomed closer, catching the frost in Harry's gaze and the steel in Al's. It was clear to everyone. This was no interview. This was a battle, one that was only building toward an inevitable explosion.